I want to talk to you about scams and frauds today. The Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre has reported that Canadians lost $647 million to scams in 2024 and estimates only 5 to 10% of frauds are reported. And the Canadian Banker Association estimates the true cost to Canadians could have been as much as $6 to $12 billion in 2024. So a staggering number. Clearly more needs to be done, and this committee has agreed to investigate this issue at a future study. And at my constituency office recently, actually, we had quite a sophisticated scam call where an individual called. It said RBC Banking on the caller ID, and they were quite sophisticated in their speech. And thanks to my very clever staffer, she picked up on it and saved the day for us. But it was very sophisticated, and I was just quite shocked that it said that on the caller ID. So my understanding, in 2021, the CRTC put out a compliance and enforcement directive to telecommunications companies to authenticate and verify caller ID for internet protocol-based voice calls as a condition of offering their services. But to my knowledge, there is no equivalent directive for traditional landlines. So either way, scam calls are getting through to Canadians as we speak and costing them thousands of dollars. So what, in your view, can the CRTC do to enforce these protocols for both internet-based calls and traditional phone lines?
Maybe I'll start. So I fully appreciating that these scam calls are beyond an annoyance for many people because a lot of money is being lost. It's a challenge with enforcement because obviously it's like whack-a-mole, and it's obviously a global issue. We do have a part to play. We have a very small team at the CRTC, less than 20 people, who works on spam, and that's in collaboration with the Competition Bureau and the Office of the Privacy Commissioner. So we work collaboratively with them. A lot of the activity that is happening right now falls more into sort of cybercrime and is more criminal in nature. We have a civil regime, so the work that we do is only on the civil side. I don't know if you can add anything in terms of the specifics on that, Scott.
Well, I think you've highlighted the overall approach that we take with respect to the precise question. That is a practice called spoofing. So people are. That's the common way that people are calling it. And how it was occurring, it was, the measures that we have put in place do apply to all landlines, on that front. I think, if I can put it this way, the source of the issue was that there were nefarious players connecting through IP, and it's because of that IP technology that they were able to spoof, so as to make sure that they try to close that IP door to minimize spoofing on that front.
Thank you. And so that was in 2021, and it's still happening. So what more can be done on your end to I understand you're not an enforcement agency in this way, but you are in a large part. So perhaps I'm just understanding the division of powers. But you've put out the directive. Cell phone or telecommunications companies don't seem to be doing enough. I'm not trying to blame them. I'd like to learn more about what the challenges are there, and we will hopefully in due time. But the directive doesn't seem to be effective. Is there anything else that you can do to enforce it further?
Well, the innovation in this domain knows no bounds, if I can say that simply. We have continued. That is certainly an element that we did work on with respect to the telephone companies and trying to halt spoofing. There's a number of other measures that are constantly being put in place, whether it's telephone companies using new forms of, abilities to block, to be able to identify calls that are not legitimate on that front. So in the network, there are various working groups that are being put together collectively with the industry, and each company is also, and our teams in that domain are working with them and following closely and encouraging various efforts, whether it's using AI to identify instantaneously calls that are not legitimate. But that work is continuing on a constant basis, but unfortunately, the innovation there knows no bounds.
No, thank you very much. But it's my understanding, though, that, of course, telecommunications in this country is governed by the Act, and that you have the powers within that Act to impose any sort of conditions on telecom. So again, there's this directive. It seems fairly clear. So if telecoms, and I recognize technology is evolving, it's a very difficult issue. But from your regulatory side, you've put forward this directive. It's not being fulfilled perhaps for very good reasons. But is there nothing more that you can do? And I'm hearing that perhaps not, to sort of further enforce this directive?
No, I think the message is we are continuously working with the companies to improve the situation and make sure that from a telecommunications standpoint, these forms of calls are minimized.
Thank you, Madame Dancho.
Thank you. Just following up on my earlier line of questioning, I'm sure you're familiar with this, but in February 2025, Australia passed the Scams Prevention Framework, which required banks, telcos, and digital platforms to prevent, detect, disrupt, respond to, and report scams. And ACMA, their Australia CRTC, as I'm sure you know, their telecom and media regulator, can now issue legally enforceable rules to carry out audits and impose multi-million-dollar fines for non-compliance. Would we require legislative change for those powers, for you to have those powers, and would you find them useful in enforcing the directives you put forward?
The first answer is we do not have those legislative powers right now. Our regime in this domain is very much a civil one, and it's meant to, to address spam and the annoyance and the nuisance and regulate how legitimate companies deal with Canadians, their customers and consumers on that front. That's what we do primarily in that domain. We are in contact with ACMA. We are, we chat with them often enough, so we're following up with them to see how they will be implementing this and what will be the effect of that new law in that domain. But we are not in that business right now.
Thank you very much for that. And I think the effect so far since just February 2025 has been a 26% decrease in frauds and scams, the only decrease being experienced in the world. So they're doing something right. I don't know if it's the right fit for Canada, but I appreciate the further insight you're able to provide today. And it certainly gives us a bit of a foundation to work on should we move forward with a study on this here. Thank you.